What's happening? Andy here. I am joined today by Sam Errigo, CEO of Konica Minolta. How are you today, Sam?
I'm doing great, Andy. Good to see you.
Great to see you. It was only a couple weeks ago I just saw you down in Ramsey at your headquarters. Is that where you are today?
I am absolutely. I'm in sunny Ramsey, New Jersey today.
I am actually in sunny Rochester. I can't believe we've had this streak going. It's been nice for almost a whole week. It was a great meeting that you had a few weeks ago. I really enjoyed it. It was um, the first dealer meeting we've had from any of the OEMs, any of the hardware OEMs. So it was kind of nice to be back, and you guys sort of threw down that gauntlet, like we're just going to do it. We're going to finally, stop moving them. We're going to actually have the meeting. So kudos to you guys for being first. How did you think the meeting went? What were some of your takeaways?
Good. So it was first off, obviously we've been doing traveling, here and there, visiting with dealers during COVID as appropriate. But this was the first time. It's 2 years since we've had a dealer meeting and an opportunity to really see all of our dealers face to face. So the biggest takeaway for me was just the engagement back, with our dealers, having face-to-face conversations, getting caught up. Overall, we had great reviews, from the meeting. I thought the content was great. And we covered some of the key topics that we need to address as a manufacturer. And again, just re-engaging with with a lot of our dealer partners was refreshing.
Three days of meetings in one day was how
Yeah,
it was
right.
billed.
Accelerated, right? Accelerated.
It was great. You had some celebrities there. You had the Wayne Taylor team. You had Wayne and Ricky Taylor there, both of them wearing my hat, of course.
Yep.
And Eli Manning was there. We got a picture of him. He was a little hesitant to hold the hat, but he did actually. He did take a picture with me with it.
He
So that
did
was
great,
pretty
by the
cool.
way. He was awesome. He was great to work with.
Both of them were great. So it was nice to see like a real meeting with, you guys had some sizzle to it, just sort of like the old days before, we got shut down and couldn't have them anymore. So it was kind of back to business as usual. It was great. It was amazing to see that facility, I have to say. What a place. I mean, you guys had the car inside there and everything. So it was just all those giant presses and MGI label printing devices, and it was amazing. So just a really nice event, and I thought well done. And then what I kept forgetting about was that you guys were broadcasting that to hundreds of people outside the event, right?
Whoa.
So I talked to some of your guys. They were in Florida, they were in Georgia, they were all over watching the video of your session.
Yeah, we did that obviously in a virtual setting and broadcasted live, which was great. And then obviously in our CEC location, the demo facility was that was being broadcast as well. And for me personally, that it is a world-class location for our dealers to take advantage of and bring customers in. As I came up through the production.
Yeah, world class. You were back at Kodak in the day. Yeah,
man, let me tell you what. It's probably one of the most impressive facilities that I've been in, just from a layout, the amount of investment, and how the products get showcased. So our intent is we built that so that not only our dealers, but our dealer customers can come into those facilities, take advantage of the equipment, because as you know, it's a several $1 million investment. But on top of that, also being able to broadcast remotely to our dealers and dealer customers so that they get a sense for our hardware and technology is a big advantage for us.
Well, you guys have, if I remember correctly, you sold 6 or 7 of those KM1s,
Yes.
sight unseen, just by doing virtual demonstrations through those that building. So that's amazing. It is definitely state of the art. It's the newest one out of anybody's that I know of. Right. It's certainly one of the biggest, and just an incredible, just an incredible facility. It was nice to actually come in there and go to a meeting and just see it in person. And I saw it actually right before it opened, before it was finished. And, it looked pretty cool back then, but just the signage is up now and you've got more
Right.
machines in there now. And, obviously put a race car and 150 people in there. So, a busy place. It was it was a fun day. I did want to, touch base with you on a few things. You were only up there for a little while. You couldn't talk about everything. I felt like, I wanted to hear a bit more on some of the key initiatives you were getting into. Business transformation was another thing that you kind of hinted around. So why don't you tell me how things are going at Konica Minolta with those respects?
Yeah, so a lot obviously going on from a business transformation, standpoint. And, one of the key things that we talk to our dealers about is, business transformation. When people use that term, I think it gets overused, but it's really important for, the channel to look hard at their businesses and determine what their future is. And even as recently as today, inside of Konica Minolta, we're transforming, right? We are putting new initiatives in place. We are looking at ways to improve operational efficiencies, how to better engage with customers, improve our customer journey and touch points, and hopefully, through some of the technologies that we talked about with our dealer partners, that not only are they able to take those technologies, into their customer locations, but are also looking at how they operate. How do they better engage with with their customers? So we can share information around what we do, how we're doing it, but we're in the midst of, and I use the term, it's a transformation inside of a transformation, because we started down a journey in a path to get to a certain point, but things have changed, right? Between COVID and supply chain issues, you have to think differently. And we're still not out of COVID. You are still not out of supply chain issues. And as much as we would like to think that this is going to be done in 3 months or 4 months, it can continue, right? And you need to prepare your business for the changes in the next 3 to 6 months, but also for the next 2, 3, and 5 years, because it's already here, right? And those are the things that we're preparing for, not for tomorrow. It's for the next 2 years and 3 years and 5 years out, in looking at our entire operation and finding new ways to continue to reinvent not only what we do, but how we deliver it, both to our direct customers as well as to our dealer partners.
So taking that a step further, what would be some of these things that you're going to do? What are some of the specific, maybe new programs, new directions that you're looking into? You guys have famously made some moves in the past where you got into markets which weren't really a place where a company like Konica Minolta would traditionally play. All Covered comes to mind. Some of the acquisitions you've done around content management come to mind over the last several years. So you've never been afraid to enter new areas, move into new places. Robotics is another one. I could go on and on, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just about diversification, which was the word we kind of used in the past, I think, right? Everyone had to diversify. You can't just do copiers. Copiers are going away, and the volumes are going down, right? I mean, even once we get out of this, the volumes will, the trend was they were not falling off a cliff, but they were very steadily, going down. So everybody, I think a lot of dealers were, looking for that. What's the next thing? What can I do? What can I sell? How can I market myself? I've got a relationship with all these customers, right? So, what are some of these things for dealers, for just Konica Minolta in general? And the branches, just the company in general. Where are you going with that with some of these initiatives?
Yeah, so I mean, a couple of things. When you look at the macro trends, right, around what's happening in our industry that we're fairly certain of, right? So here's what we know: the volumes are down from FY19. Pick your number, and it'll vary. So just say they're down at this point 15%. Right, from FY19. So some dealers that I've talked to, they're down at this point, 10% from FY19. Some are down 50. So that's just the reality. So you have to size your business to that revenue. That's first and foremost. That is your lifeblood of the business, right? It's
Yeah.
a service revenue.
Yep.
So secondarily, print is not dead, right? We are still taking orders right today. And is it all the way back to FY19? Hard to say, because you're going to get false positives, meaning we have obviously a big back order, right?
Everybody does.
Right.
Just about.
It has to get normalized out. So, you look at the numbers, and I would say you're probably not back to FY19 numbers, but you're approaching, right? So still down, which would be in line with the market that says, look, if just say that there's a 1, 2, or 3% or 4% decline in hardware. My point has always been, I don't care. Right. And the reason I don't care is I don't have 100% market share.
Yeah.
And nor do any of our dealers. So the way they should think about this is, yes, your volume is down. So what do? You try to go take market share, and you replace the decline in volume with new customers, right? But that only goes on for so long. You still need other revenue streams that you have to look at in order to build your business to and forward with profitability.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm saying is, and our approach is, look, don't give up on print. There's still plenty of business there. Production print is still moving at a pretty good pace. Industrial print is growing. So there still is opportunity. Specialty print, right? Wide format. Those markets are still and provide good opportunity for revenue growth and profitability.
And these are areas you're just starting. You've been growing into. These weren't traditionally big strong points of Konica Minolta, right? I mean, the wide format, the MGI stuff has been something that's been building. The label printing, you picked up a lot of technology with the Muratech acquisition a few years ago, so that's all been rolled in. So there's a lot of products at a different level that your resellers hadn't had access to before.
You're right. You're offsetting, right, some of the decline. But by the way, this has been going on for 35 years. As long as I've been in the industry, here every year, volume's going down, units are going down. I mean, it's been like that for 35 years.
Yeah.
The click rate has gone down. That's just the reality. So you have to plan, right, how you run your business so that you continue to achieve, the margins that are necessary to put, a decent profit together for your business. Yep. Without the investment, without the business transformation and a strategy, the business will decline.
Yeah.
It's math, right? It will go down. So the message really to the dealers, Andy, was you have to do something to diversify. And we have some categories. So it could be IT services. There's still great growth in IT services. But you have to understand that business, right? It's not an easy business. We've learned a lot over the last, 10 years. And we're at a good point where we're seeing, profitability improving. It certainly is helping our pull through with customers. And so you look at it as a portfolio, and dealers can pick whether it's managed IT services, video solution services, our software portfolio to add incremental value to an existing base of customers. You have our IIM business for content management. So there's a lot of things that, look, if you're not an expert, but you have a need, that's what a good partner does, is they help you build those revenue streams and build profitability. So
you brought on a bunch of new people at some pretty senior levels, and maybe if you could talk to us about how are they going to play into this going forward, the new strategy, the new way of doing business. So we've got Mike Lee, VJ, yep. And then a couple other people who are more behind the scenes. Holly and Steve obviously are new executives as well, but specifically I think Mike and VJ are going to impact your portfolio for the next 3 to 5 years. So what are they working on? What kinds of things are they going to bring to the table that you haven't had in the past?
Yeah. So, looking to the future, we know that e-commerce and, digital customer demand generation, it's a big component. Traditionally, it sits within marketing, but I can tell you from experience, you need to have a very strong IT leader to help execute and really pull off world-class, demand gen, programs. So that's what we hired, obviously, Mike to come in as one of his functions. So he's working very closely with Kay Fernandez, our senior VP of marketing, and helping really coordinate the architecture for that go forward platform. And we intend to build out a world-class, demand gen organization. So different than marketing. And, this is, I don't want to say it's anything new from an industry standpoint. It's new in the sense that we're going to invest much more money into that avenue, knowing that, we have multiple points of entry for customers, meaning they can come in through the web. We can touch them through email There's just a variety of ways for us to engage. So that's one of Mike's priorities. And then another big initiative is really our end-to-end process from order entry to cash collection. So Mike and Holly are now responsible, and along with Alan Schwedek, our senior VP for admin, is to look at that end-to-end process and remove the human capital wherever possible. Take people out of the equation, use technology where applicable, and streamline that entire workflow. So that's a heavy lift for us, knowing that, you're taking legacy systems and legacy companies and now collapsing everything to really organize that business, streamline operations to take expense out. And then VJ, his primary focus is strategy development for our existing office solution portfolio on, again, software. And then the second piece is really the vetting process for emerging technologies and the areas in which we choose to invest in as ancillary businesses.
So do you guys, I guess you do make, you make investments over here on your own as your own subsidiary, right? These aren't Konica Minolta Japan investments. These are like was the Mobotics, was that from over here or was that over there?
No, that was actually in Europe, but then brought to the US.
It's hard to keep up with you guys because you're a global company, but the regions, the subsidiaries, they all have a lot of autonomy.
Yeah, we do.
You have a lot of programs, like All Covered is not something that is in every market. It's, it's here. It's a North American entity, I guess. Right. So just really, really interesting to see where you guys are going. Some of the new the new people you brought on and some of the new programs that you have. So, I guess the message isn't a whole lot different than it's always been, but maybe a little bit more important. I think we've all learned in the last couple of years that, you can't just do one thing. Right. Because if that one thing has a hiccup or goes away, you're going to be scrambling. Right. I mean, a lot of your dealers that had managed services, the one part of their business that was really busy, especially in 19, was the managed services, because everybody went home. They needed, there were customers that needed support, needed to get hooked up, set up. They had new computers, new laptops that needed to get brought into the network. So there was a lot of opportunity for people in that world. It's not always, it's not all just gadgets and connectivity, right? There's a lot of play in managed services. It doesn't have to be security. It could be managing different customers differently, remote customers. There's just a lot of different things you guys can do. And I like how Konica Minolta has brought these. You're one of these few companies, I think, who brings a lot of things, outside things, to the customers, to your resellers that aren't necessarily print related, right? It's not a common thing for a printer company to start offering non-print programs and some things that don't necessarily drive print.
Right. Yeah. And as I said, this is part of, you can sit idle, and, sitting idle to me, it's never good. Right. And you're just waiting for bad things to happen. So, we're proactive. That's the reason, that I joined this company, is I thought the vision and strategy, whatever it was, 13, 14 years ago with, with the company and looking at, okay, how do we get there and how do we build these programs? And look, we're not perfect. Some things have not worked. And I never apologize. I think through failures, you learn, right? You don't want to make those mistakes repeatedly. But you know what? If you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough.
Yeah.
So, we learned some things along the way, and you improve and you get better, and you just don't make those same mistakes. You find out, how do you make money in these new businesses? Certain products and services are much more profitable, others are not. And some things, this is a year of, you stop doing certain things and you invest heavier in other areas, because, we can't be all things to all people.
True.
One of the big objectives for us this year, it is to drive greater focus in those higher, profit areas of the business. And that's going to help us, long term, not only grow, stronger here in the U.S. from a financial standpoint, but I do believe will generate better value for our customers through, gained experience and expertise.
Yeah, I could see. I agree. I think watching you guys evolve over the last several years has been great, and you've made some good changes, and there are a few companies in this industry. You're one of them who's not afraid to throw stuff at the wall to see if it works, and sometimes you do wind up with something that comes out of it completely unexpected, maybe a program that might, and you're not the only ones, but a program that might be a flop, with like the HP Mopier, right? The biggest flop ever. And guess what? Everybody sells that product now, and it's an MFP, right? It was the first. So, just because something looks different, there's just a lot of things that can come out of it, a lot of different, you just don't know where it's going to take you. Sometimes the path takes you somewhere else. So this was just great, Sam. Thank you so much for coming on again. You're always, very insightful. It's great to hear, your perspective, and obviously at your level, coming from the top, just, where's Konica Minolta going, and, what's happening. I did hear you use that phrase in there in the middle of your, one of your answers to my question. So that was nice. But, thanks so much. And I really appreciate you taking the time, Sam.
Right. You got it, Andy. Anytime.
Take care. Bye-bye.